Thanks for calling ABC Credit Union.
I just want to talk to a person.
For customer service, please press 1.
Talk to a person?
For locations and hours, please press 2.
Talk to a person.
To speak to an agent at any time during this call, please press 0 or stay on the line.
Welcome to CX Without the BS. Now, here are your hosts, Tom Milligan and Brian Nichols.
Welcome to another amazing and exciting episode of CX Without the BS. I'm Tom Milligan.
And I am Brian Nichols.
It is so great to be here with you, Brian. How's your week been?
It's been good. Tom, I'm right now literally drinking through a fire hose. I was off for 2 weeks visiting family in the Northeast. I live in Indiana, so my wife's family, my family, all in the Northeast. We took 2 weeks with our 15-month-old to go on a cross-country adventure, go see some family. But I'll tell you what, 2 weeks on the road, out of your home, out of your routine, with a 15-month-old that just loves routine. Woo! It's been a little bit of a getting back into the swing of things. But you know what? We're having some fun, and we're gonna have some fun here today on CX Without the BS. How are you? How was your vacation, and how was July 4th?
Oh, it was fantastic. As some people know, I actually run another podcast with a friend of mine. Her name's Pam. She was actually a guest on our show. She and I host a podcast called The Talking Phase. It has nothing to do with technology. It has everything to do with dating and relationships and, getting older and all that kind of crap that happens. And anyway, I went to North Carolina and spent the weekend up there meeting with her and her family and getting to know her a little bit better. And that's we had a great time. But like your daughter, I like routine. And so being out of my apartment here, out of the studio for almost a week, it just kind of, you have to kind of take a day or two to get right back into it. But I'll tell you what, before we get started, thinking of daughters, I don't have any daughters. I have 4 sons. My youngest one is 22 years old. You have a 15-month-old daughter, and our guest today, his name's Aarde Cosseboom. If you don't know Aarde, I think today is the day you're going to meet him for the first time. Aarde also has a 15-month-old little girl. He and his lovely wife have a beautiful little girl, and they live out in Southern California. I believe he's in Orange County. Our guest today, like I said, is Aarde Cosseboom. I met him literally at the same show where I met Michael DeSignore, our first guest on the show at the Intellisys Channel Connect show. And just like Michael, Aarde and I have just become really great friends. This guy is so impressive. I'm sure that what we're going to talk about today is going to blow you away. But this guy, he's a sales guy, but he's also really a geek. He geeks out on technology. He's an author. He's a podcast host, so he should know how to do this pretty well. He's a huge Star Wars fan, and as our listeners and viewers know, both of us also huge Star Wars fans. And then the other thing that I think one of the reasons Aarde and I bonded so well is that people who followed me on any social media know that I've been through a really crazy personal situation, a crazy divorce over the years, and he did as well. So he says that he's on his second lap in this life. But he and I have had some really great conversations about divorce and what it's taught us and stuff like that. So Aarde is just a really, really great guy, in addition to being a great business person and a great consultant. And so I'm really excited to bring him on. So are you about ready to get this going with him?
For sure. And by the way, Tom, just elephant in the room, is that not the type of person you want to do business with? Is just good people? I mean, I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. My old CEO, Mike DeLug at Stratus IP, also a partner in the channel. Good people bring out the good in people. That was a saying that was on our wall at the HQ because it's true. You want to do business with good people. Why? Because good people bring out the good in people. And from what you've told me, Aarde, he fills that role so well. So I'm looking forward to meeting Aarde, even though it's through this. But hey, we're going to make it work and have some fun. And also, I'm looking forward to learning all about AI. So what say you, Tom? Shall we get Aarde onto the show?
Let's bring him on.
All right, stand by. Aarde Cosseboom here on CX Without the BS.
Hey, Aarde, it's good to see you again. How are you, my friend?
Doing great. Thank you guys for inviting me. Pleasure to be on the show. I've seen, I think, all of the episodes so far. So even though, Brian, this is our first time meeting, it feels like I know you because I've spent hours with you already.
Well, hopefully all good things.
I will say this: I've known Brian now for about 9 months, almost the same amount of time I've known you, Artie. And but I work with Brian literally every single day, and I'll tell you, the guy doesn't change. He's just upbeat, fun, laughing. This is who he is all the time. And if this is how you are at home, Brian, your wife is she's a trooper.
She sure is, to say the least. And I have a 15-month-old, so add that into the equation for sure.
Yeah, yeah, the two of you guys, but still dealing with the little ones. My youngest is 22, so 22 years. So
A little bit of a difference, but
yeah, a little bit. Hey, so Artie, let's get into this today. Like we talked about it in the little intro about a little bit about what you do, but let's talk about Clarity CX. What is it? How long has it been around? Give us the elevator pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. Clarity CX, we like to say we're a peer-to-peer consulting group. We've been around for about 4.5 years. I'm the CEO founder. I have a pretty small team. We try to be as agile as possible, which means that we don't want a lot of bloat. We don't want a lot of employees doing lots of less meaningful tasks. We want to make sure that our team members are sharp, concise, and can move to what our customers needs are. We focus on contact center. We like to call it CX. Anything having to do with technology for the contact center. And that's a pretty large range. So you can think of things like chatbots, voice bots, speech analytics, WFM, WEM, so workforce tools, data analytics, even the underlying infrastructure to deliver phone calls, chats, emails, all of that as well. So network connectivity, along with the core. So like IVR, ACDs, or what we call traditional contact center CCAS tools today, and CRMs. And we try to focus on technology because, as you can see by my background, I'm a little bit nerdy and a little bit business-like, a little stormtrooper in the background. And I gravitate towards technology. Although my history, I've been a contact center leader. I've been a people manager for 15 plus years before we started Clarity CX. So I know how to run a contact center. I know how to lead people, but I really gravitate towards AI, technology, anything that's new and innovative.
Well,
yeah, go ahead, Tom.
Nope.
Oh, okay. I'll take over. Yeah, I was gonna say, Artie, like we see right now, this is definitely the route everyone's going. New technology, like whatever the new shiny thing is. And we've talked about this many a time here on the show. It's like, how do you know which shiny object to chase after? And one of the things we really see is it's not just impacting the technology that's available now for the contact center, but it's also changing the way that people are searching for these solutions. So talk to us more about what you guys are doing at Clarity to help when a business owner or a partner, like they're trying to figure out who's the best fit, because elephant in the room, there's literally dozens of CX providers out there, CCAS providers who can say, well, I can do it all. So what does that look like when you're trying to actually help bring the technology to the folks who are searching for these solutions?
Yeah, I love the question. I'll kind of do a roundabout answer because we're on CX with no BS. And there's a lot of BS out there, especially when there's technology sales involved. We try to brand ourselves not as sales reps or account executives or whatever you want to call or rebrand. We are true consultants. We say peer-to-peer consulting because we used to be in their shoes, the buyer's shoes. We used to work for 9-to-5 organizations. All the consultants on my team, we've been in the contact center. We've been the frontline team members answering calls, making outbound calls. We've been team leads, supervisors. So we know we've earned our stripes. We know what it's like to be in the trenches. And we know that buying technology, there's a lot of hoodwinking. There's a lot of BS. There's a lot of fluff. If you see the conferences over the last 20 years in the contact center space, I won't name them by name, but these big trade shows and conferences, a little bit more popular pre-COVID when people enjoyed going to Vegas and getting out of the office for a week and partying with peers. But the conferences, they had themes. So for about a 5-year span, there was a theme. The first theme was migrate to the cloud. And then the second theme was omni-channel. So deploy not only phones, but chat and email. So digital age. And then things started to change, and the theme after that was CSAT scores, and you saw all these really cool positions open up, and MPS and CSAT and all these survey-driven type results, and creating data analytics around that, customer journey mapping. You saw some really cool titles like CX or CXO, Chief Customer Officer, all these cool titles that came out of that revolution. And then now we're into the AI revolution. We've kind of been there for the last 8-ish years. And about 8 years ago, it started as really robust chatbots, and then voice bots, and then speech analytics became popular, sentiment analysis, intent. And now with the revolution of ChatGPT, Gemini, and all of the others alike in the last year and a half, 2 years, now everyone has a .ai or an AI in their name. And it's all the same stuff. It's all a little bit of BS. It's a lot of our stuff is the shiny product and it's better than the last shiny product. But in reality, a lot of the AI tools out there, they're not built truly on AI. It's really just machine learning, supervised machine learning. There's a lot of human sweat, blood, and tears and time that has to go into it to maintain it and make sure that it's running and operating properly. It does gain efficiencies, so there are some benefits to it, but then also it's a little bit of snake oil. So you can see I'm a little bit jaded about AI, although I created AI myself for my technology called Palomar. And I know we'll talk a little bit more about it in a bit, but Palomar is essentially our AI tool to help customers find technology. And the AI that we have in our engine is backed behind Gemini, Google Dialogflow, Amazon Lex, and ChatGPT. So it's a hybrid, pulling in lots of we use Meta as well, their Llama product, but lots of different technologies pulling information from the internet in real time, because the internet's smart. It's just trying to figure out how to search and find things that's hard. So that's our philosophy about AI. It's really, how can you use it to be productive, or how can you use it in a way where human or man hours just can't solve for it.
Well, I'll tell you what, I listened to what you just said, and I think the only thing I would change in everything that you just said is I would remove all of the little caveats where you said I'm a little bit jaded, it's a little bit of snake oil, it's some BS. You put a lot of nice qualifiers on there, but the bottom line is there's so much bullshit out there. In fact, there's probably more bullshit than not. And I think Michael Del Signore said it best on our very first episode when he said, if I see another company put a .ai at the end of their name, I'm going to throw up, or so, I can't remember exactly, but it's, like you said, everybody's doing it. This is the latest. If you don't have AI in your title or if it's not plastered on every single page on your website, you're apparently not even buzzword compliant, and you can't even sell anything in this business anymore.
Yeah, and it's weird. You've seen the .ai become popular, but about 8 years ago, people were saying the word bot, and bot was not a negative connotation. It was like, look at the chat bot, the voice bot, the whatever and now, and maybe this is just marketing and branding, bot has a kind of negative tone to it. It's because a bot is a little bit more mechanical. There's less black box behind it, whereas the term AI, marketing wise, it's just the AI. You throw your question in there, it's going to output, it's going to go in the black box, it's going to come out, it's going to have the perfect thing for you. But in reality, a lot of those AI tools are really just bots with a little bit more shine on them, which is sad, because there is true AI out there, and it is pretty amazing, but a lot of people claim that they're AI. So I don't like the .ai. I don't like AI in any names, much like I'm not a fan of the on-premise or bot related technologies of the past.
Yeah, for sure. And by the way, one thing, Aarde, like you brought something up, and I just want to go back to it. AI, as we know it, right, is relatively new. But going back even further to when you mentioned it was more of the chat bots, and that was 8 years ago. So what is it that's caused the lag time? Is it a matter of trying to really make sure that the product, the AI, the bot, whatever you want to call it, is up to snuff? Or is it just folks are a little weary of the adaptation? Or is it something else?
Yeah, so I've done a lot of research in this space. I've been a keynote speaker in a lot of conferences around AI, specifically in the conversational AI space. And if you think of AI, any AI, I'm generalizing here. There's the engine that runs AI. It runs off of the oil that it runs off of is data, information that gets plugged in. So you see things like ChatGPT, Gemini. That's running off of open internet information. The internet is a vast source of information. It can be used for great purposes. It's basically querying or searching the internet for something and then formulating a response. Now, the secret sauce of conversational AI, which is a little bit different, and it makes more sense for us to talk about it because in the contact center, that's where the majority of the conversations are between B2B or B2C, direct to consumer or business to business, and they have mountains of data. They have mountains of data over voice in the form of voice recordings. They also have mountains of data with regards to chat. And this is a little bit different data. Some of this data can be specific to a business. So let's say an insurance company has insurance-related questions and insurance-related answers. And the AI can build out a knowledge base or an agent assist tool or some sort of speech analytics around that area, that specific area of business, to say the conversation was good, the conversation was bad, they should have said this, they can say this. So that's one bubble or area of conversational AI. The other bubble and area, which is a little bit more general, is conversational AI itself, which is understanding a person's natural language. So when they say a sentence, a phrase, a paragraph, and understanding the intent or intents of the question or the comments, and then curating a formulated response. And that formulated response can be done in thousands or tens of thousands of different ways and still get a desirable outcome, positive outcome, negative outcome, whatever it is. And then you start to see the emergence of ChatGPT, Gemini, and all these other LLMs that are essentially just conversational AI tools. The information from the internet already exists. Before those products existed, you can go to Google, type in a search, and you're going to get a result. And you can type in your own natural language. This is just another layer of that to understand what the intents are, and then also outputting drafts or multiple different variable type responses in text form, or nowadays it can be in voice form. It could also be in different languages. And that's the true power of conversational AI. So I think that to kind of bring it home and answer your question, conversational AI has a lot of data behind it because there's a lot of conversations that happen out there in the world on social media, B2B or B2C with companies, whereas other AI in this world it's not pronounced, doesn't exist as much. You'll see a lot of video AI out there that has hallucinations. So if you Google video AI and you watch a video, it'll show things where it's creating video or images strung together and things are changing in an unnatural way. Maybe gravity changes, or the object in their hand doesn't exist, or there's 6 fingers on a hand. That's just because there's not enough data in the photo and video world to feed the AI. Once there's enough data there for it to consume, it's going to understand it, and it's going to be able to put those rules on it to say, oh, humans don't have 6 fingers. Never show 6 fingers. Or, a hot dog should never be floating off of a table. It needs to be stationary to a plate or to that table, things like that. So it's all about the data. And if the data is not there, it really can't create true AI. So if anyone's trying to sell you AI, ask them where their data source is. How much data do they have? Are they pulling data from their own, or are they pulling it from open internet? And if the data lake is large enough, it might actually be true AI.
Well, I'm going to tell you that was a fascinating basically discussion. I mean, it's clear that you know what you're talking about. I'm a sales guy, so I know enough to be dangerous. You actually understand what you're talking about. And I'll tell you, at Sharpen, and again, we're not here for Sharpen, but Brian and I both work for Sharpen. We talk about usable AI. And, you know, a hot dog floating off a table is probably not unusable AI, but it's certainly not great AI. For most of us, the only AI, like just last week, I posted a TikTok where I took a single picture, and using AI, they took that one front-facing picture and made me dance. And like I turned around, and it somehow knew what the back of my head looked like, and they got it just right. And I mean, I can't dance like that, so that's usable AI, right? So, but what I think that's a great segue, talking about AI and actual useful AI. We touched on it a couple minutes ago about your Palomar.com, which is your brainchild. You put it together, and it helps people find the right technologies. Tell us how it works. And I mean, isn't it just a filter? I mean, why is it AI instead of just a Google search?
Yeah, good question. And you can go, so Palomar.com, it's our website. You can go to Google and you can type just plain old Google and Chrome or Firefox or whatever, and you can type in what's the best chatbot, and it'll actually output some text from, if you're on Google Gemini, if you're in Edge or Microsoft, it's going to be ChatGPT. It's going to give you what it thinks the best chatbot is. But some of the information about the best chatbots in the world are not accessible through Google searching or crawling. A lot of that information lives on websites like your guys' website, like Sharpen CX, or your competitors or other technology providers. So what makes Palomar a little bit different is that you can go to Palomar, you can say, what's the best chatbot? Or I'm interested in a chatbot. It's not going to give you an answer right away. It's going to ask you, what is the reason why you're looking for a chatbot? What are you trying to solve? So it does a little bit of consulting. It does the next step, which is we understand your intent. You have a buying intent to buy a chatbot tool, but we want to know why. We want to know what your budget is. We want to know how you want to implement. And it sounds like a long back and forth between the tool, but really it can be as short as 3 questions or as long as 20 or 30 questions, depending on how detailed your answers are or how nuanced your responses are. And it's going to curate the questions based off of how you respond. And it'll also curate it based off of the bubble in which you're interested in. So buying a chatbot is different than buying a voice bot. Buying a voice bot for French speakers is different than buying a voice bot for Spanish speakers. There are a lot of different nuances that are important to the questioning before providing results. And we do this in consulting today. If you think of a traditional consultant, that's what they do. They do a discovery call. They ask you questions. It's really annoying, kind of sounds like you're talking to a therapist. But by the end, the reason why they're collecting all of that data is because that consultant's brain, or maybe a cohort of 2 or 3 consultants' brains together, can say, we've seen this before, this is what we recommend. Now, replace the consultant's brain with all of the information that exists on the internet, which is way larger, much more detailed, more real time, because consultants can't go to review sites and review every single product every single day. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to talk to their customers. So that's what Palomar does. We pull information, open source information from the internet. We have a data warehouse, but none of the data warehouse, we do not curate our own data. We're not a review site. We're not collecting information from users. We're not collecting information from our team members. We're collecting information from open internet. And when we're pulling that information into our data warehouse, usually it's about every 45 minutes, although sometimes every hour. That information is current, up to date, and then we're aggregating it to the questions that are being asked by the Palomar AI. the questions that are being asked. It's going to derive some sort of intent. So it's going to say, we know this person wants a voice bot. We know that they need French and Spanish and English, and they're a tile shop in Montreal, and they have very low volume, and their budget is relatively small. So we know enough information to pull information from open source internet to derive 4 or 5 or 10 solutions. And what we do is, from a very unbiased standpoint, because it's being pulled through AI, we do a match score. And then we also pull information about that product or provider on what we call a supplier card. Try to make it as simple as possible, because if you've ever used a review site before, it's like going to TrueCar and saying, I want a car. There's so many cars out there, and some of them are new and some of them are used. It's like flipping through a dictionary to find a word to put into a sentence. We'd rather say, what sentence are you trying to create? And then we'll give you 3 options of sentences or 5 options, and then we get to just choose one. So that's what we created with Palomar. Really, our idea is to help people get from the early stages of buying intent, I'm interested in buying something, to I have 4 or 5 options in my hand, and I can trust those options because the bot itself or the AI collected the information of why I'm interested in it.
Hey, Aarde, one of the questions I had for a follow-up, and this is something we're seeing a lot here at Sharpen, is, we're CCAS for the SMB. So we're going after the customers who either they're overlooked by enterprise players, or just folks who maybe they just didn't think they needed a contact center environment. But now with the advancing in technology, they're seeing that this might be an avenue they can start to go down and explore. So even for those folks who they've never really dug into this world, they might not even know what they're looking for. It sounds like Palomar can still help them from really those infancy phases and saying, hey, you're brand new at this. Let's just get some basic information and even start to give them some outcomes, even if they don't really know, again, what it is they're actually looking for.
Yep. Oh, I love it. And our main menu, so after you go to palomar.com, you hit get started. It's going to ask you some basic questions. It's going to say, what's your name? What's your email address? Just in case you drop off, and we need to get you back into the funnel to using Palomar. After that, our main menu, and this hits right on what you said. We've got 5 different options. One is, I know what I'm interested in. That's called CX tools. Like, I know I need a voice bot, or I know I need speech analytics. Like, they go down that path, they answer questions, and they get results. Another section is, I'm interested in learning more about CX technology. This is more educational. It's what is an IVR? What is a WFM? What is a speech analytics tool for a contact center? It'll educate them, and then it'll walk them through the path of, now are you interested in looking for suppliers, or do you want to go back and learn more about other areas? Another area that we have, so there's 5, I'll kind of go through them quickly. The third one is, I have a current technology and I don't like it. I need to replace it. And that's a very common buying intent. Someone says, oh, for the love of Pete's sake, if this, I know I could swear on here, but I try to be PG. This product I have goes down. It doesn't have 99.99% uptime. It goes down every Friday, and I just can't stand it anymore. I need to replace it. They can go to Palomar and type in what their product name is, and then it'll answer with some suppliers. Of course, it'll ask some more detailed questions, like, why are you replacing this tool, and why what do you use it for today? But then eventually give you results. The other one that's interesting is, you're trying to solve a business problem. So my agent attrition's too high. My CSAT score is too low. My customers are unhappy with us and churning. These are all basic business problems. You can go down that path, and it can suggest technology areas that can solve for that. And then you can drill down into that and then get solutions. And then the last one, which is probably my favorite, is, and this is always an interesting topic for buyers, CX innovation. So essentially, if you run a contact center, there's really 2 things that motivate innovation in the contact center. One is, you saw a shiny tool, you thought it was cool, now you want to learn more about how to do that for your organization. So maybe it's implementing AI, or maybe it's speech analytics or an agent assist tool. The other motivator for a buyer in that role is their boss comes to them and says, if you don't innovate or our customer service, you're not going to get promoted, or you're going to get fired, or whatever, your job's in risk. That is the area where they can go to, where they're not solving a business problem. There's nothing fundamentally broken with what they have today. They're just interested in leveling up their whatever it is. Maybe it's a technology stack, ecosystem, or it's or a service to the customers, or an agent experience. And then the last thing I'll kind of touch on really quick is the majority of times that people are interested in buying technology, they fall into three categories. It's the innovation piece that I just mentioned. The other category is I have something that's legacy that's going to break or be decommissioned, so I have to replace it. And the third one is I'm starting a new organization. We've never had a contact center before. I'm launching an e-commerce website, and I need people to be able to support them. I need a 1-800 number on my website and a chat. I need to build something from scratch. Where do I start with that? And using Palomar to answer those questions is exactly why we designed it.
I think it's fascinating. I think the whole thing is fascinating. I have one last question. Well, first off, everybody, it's PALOMARR. So there are 2 R's there. Maybe there's a story there you can tell us. But the thing I want to ask about that is, this is, Clarity CX, your main company is a sub-agent. It's an agency or a partner with TSDs and other vendors. Palomar is not only technology agnostic, it's also partner agnostic, if I understand it correctly. So walk us through how non-Clarity CX employees or partners can benefit using Palomar.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. So, Clarity CX, we are channel sales. So we are consultants, but we make our money based off of whether or not a customer chooses a product within our portfolio. That's what keeps the lights on. That's what keeps the lights on for Palomar. And that's what keeps us employed, keeps us doing what we love, which is helping people with contact center technology consulting. Palomar is very interesting because it is absolutely agnostic. It is open to the internet, so anyone can use it. We like to say frenemies, other sub-agents, TSDs, other consultants, they can use it themselves and then suggest the results to the end customer. We recommend that actually they refer or fill out a registration form on our website so that we can sell together, we can partner together, we can consult together. We're trying to be the self-proclaimed experts in the space for contact center everything technology. So hopefully we can add services, we can add support to that other sub-agent or consultant that's helping their end customer. The other thing that's interesting about Palomar is that we have over 400 suppliers within our portfolio, and we have more than that listed on Palomar. So 2 things go with that. One is it is product agnostic. If someone uses Palomar and they find a solution in which no one can benefit from it monetarily, that's totally fine. We call that leakage. It's fine. We're doing the greater good in the community. We're helping them figure out what solves their problem. That's fine. But 95%, actually more than that, it's more like 98% of the products that are within the Palomar's portfolio, also we have partnership agreements with. And the majority of those you don't get through traditional TSDs. You don't get through, a large Telarus, Sandler Partners, Avant, any of those large partners. So instead of offering our customers a very small, here's 50 things to choose from, we would rather do what's called a blue ocean, give them all of their options, and the ones that will win, hopefully will win, are the ones that are in our portfolio. And the ones that will win that aren't in our portfolio, we approach those suppliers and say, hey, did you know that 20% of the people that go to this area of product, you're listed as number 1 or number 2, and you're probably winning that business. Do you want to win with us? Do you want us to help you with that pipeline and make sure that it doesn't drop off? And the majority of the suppliers say yes, absolutely, and then they sign up for a portfolio.
Nice.
There you go. Well, okay, Aarde, this is probably my favorite part of the show. But we're going to keep it PG today for the sake that you wanted to keep it PG. We'll do that. And you kind of teased this a little bit earlier, but let's go back, right? So you see it in the industry. There's BS everywhere, Aarde. What is that biggest pile of BS that you've seen? It could be this year. It could just be across, a general theme across CX. What say you?
Yeah, there's so many. I won't touch on the AI piece because we already kind of talked about that BS. Don't put AI in your name unless you actually leverage AI. And if you do, have the receipts, show that you have a data lake, show that it's literally not a curated data lake that you own instead, or a what's called supervised learning, where there's humans that are actually doing the actions versus true AI. But I think I want to go down a different path. So the biggest BS that I see in our space for technology, I'm not going to call it individual suppliers, but we've gotten to a point in which all of the suppliers in our space, I'll say mostly all, like 90% of them, have enough feature sets that they're comparable to other products. So a lot of the Gartner Magic Quadrant, Frost and Sullivan Insights, all of the these are the top 10 best suppliers. Literally, you can list all of the top 30 suppliers and go all the way down to 29 and 30, and they're going to have the comparable feature set that's needed for the average contact center. Yes, you're going to have contact centers that are unique butterflies or snowflakes that need the one-off thing that only supplier A has or supplier B has. I'm not saying that. I'm saying for the general contact center, the majority of the products out there, even if they don't make a list, are probably going to be good enough, if not way more horsepower than what you need. So I feel like there's a lot of BS around the feature matrices. We check all of these boxes and your peers may not. I've seen a lot of sales cycles where people talk a lot about features, and we need the features, we need the features, we need the roadmap, we need the features. And then they do the RFP, and all of the providers have all the features that they need and then some. So I think there's a lot of BS about, from a sales side, as a technology provider, saying we have more features than our competitors. You really don't. You may check more boxes or have invented new terms to check more boxes, but in reality, you can do omni-channel, you can embed, you can integrate with databases, you can use AI to an extent. You don't have to just keep inventing areas of products so that you can have 400 checkboxes as opposed to 389.
As Tom and I call it, what is that, Tom? Buzzword bingo?
Yep. That's exactly right.
Just making your own buzzwords, apparently.
Yeah, or feature bingo in this case.
Exactly. All right.
If I see another checkbox that describes the word chatbot in a different way, I'm going to pull my hair out. It's the same. Yes, you have AI in chat form. That's called a chatbot. Just call it what it is. Don't call it AI conversation insights on digital. That's just silly.
It's not a matter of the what you do, but rather it's the how you do it that really is differentiating these companies. I mean, that's really what I would take away from that kind of overview, Aarde. That was great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Aarde, as always, really glad to see you again. And as I mentioned in the intro and at the beginning, only known you for about 9.5 months, and feel like it's been years. Just love you, man.
Yeah, love you guys too. Brian, I know we just met, but like I said earlier, it feels like we've gone back a long way. Big thank you for having me on the show. Happy to jump on later on if you guys want to do a follow-up in any of the areas of interest. Obviously, I'm a conversational AI nerd, so if we ever want to drill into that stuff, let me know.
Will do. I'll tell you what we're probably going to do next time is once Palomar's only been live for a few weeks, right?
Yeah, 2 weeks.
So what's going to happen is I see this is usable AI, right?
Yes.
This is AI that can change an entire sales process in our industry. So I am totally excited to see over the next, months and years that, I'm not going to jump to like, remember the old days when it was omni-channel in the contact center, right? Voice is going to die. It's all just going to be email, and then it's all going to be chat, and it's going to take over. And now everyone's saying that AI is going to take over everything. I think there's still going to need to be salespeople.
Yeah.
But what a great tool to open the door and to get a lot of information, and so that you can narrow the field so you're not trying to boil the ocean in your sales process. I think it's great. I'm just excited to see what it does in our business.
Yeah, we're extremely excited. I mean, if you see like Zillow, what Zillow did to the housing real estate market, we still need realtors. Zillow displaces a percentage of that. People can self-serve. They could use a Zillow realtor on the website and buy a house and never talk to a human ever. But the majority of people still like to talk to a real person and see the house in person. Same thing with TrueCar, Carvana. Like, people still go to dealerships. They still want to shake someone's hand and grab the keys on the keychain, pull the sticker off the window. Like that will never go away in our industry. Palomar is not designed to displace human headcount. What we're trying to do is allow people who want to do research on their own, come to their own conclusion, essentially self-service. They can get there, and then they can either do it on their own, or they can say, you know what, let me raise my hand. Let me talk to a consultant. Let me go on site and do a test drive to a car. Let me do a walkthrough in an open house. That option is there, but hopefully they've done enough research to know what car dealership to go to or what neighborhood to look at next. So that's what we're trying to do for the industry. We're really excited. We don't think we're going to stop just at CX technology. We'll probably broaden it to all technology, software as a service solutions in the future. But for now, we want to get really good at one thing that we know, and that's contact center technology.
Fantastic. Love it. Outstanding.
All right, Aarde.
Great
I
to see
think
you.
that's a great spot to put a pin. Aarde, again, part one of the conversation for sure. We're gonna have you back on as more exciting things come down the road. So otherwise, we'll make sure we include all your links in the show notes. Thank you again for joining us, Aarde. It was a pleasure.
Pleasure was all mine. Thank you guys for having me. Enjoyed the conversation and looking forward to future conversations as well.
All right. Thanks, Aarde.
All right, Tom. Aarde, I think, is the man when it comes to talking about AI. I mean, not only was that a crash course for anybody who wanted to get the basics of AI, but it also was a deep dive into the specific areas AI is doing some really cool stuff. And frankly, where AI is nothing more than just machine learning. I mean, that for me was really informational. And I don't know, I'm just going to say it. I think the audience is going to take away a much better understanding of what AI is, why it matters, and frankly, what to avoid with all the buzzword bingo we talk about so often. Like, AI is not everything. AI is just a tool to trying to accomplish your end goal, right? And we gotta keep going back to that mindset, Tom. AI is a tool, but Aarde, I think he's showing how to use the tool in the most efficient manner. I love that conversation. What say you?
I freaking loved it. I'm keeping it PG in honor of Aarde. I will tell you that, there were two things that hit me during that conversation. One thing I didn't know about Aarde, which was that he ran contact centers prior to getting into the sales world, and which makes me even feel more bonded as a buddy to him, because that's what I did. I ran contact centers for a decade before I started selling it. And so having that real life user experience before you try to start selling that technology, it's made me a better salesperson, and I assume it's made him a better consultant. The other thing, which I freaking loved what he said, was that numbers, I think he said number 1 through 30 of the technology providers, especially in the CCAS space, we all have 90% the same feature list.
Yep.
And I've been saying that for a long time. In fact, I've probably said it on this show at least once, that you win deals in the fringes, in that 10% area, because and we'll use the example, Sharpen does not have a really great dialer solution. We're an inbound CCAS solution. If a customer comes to us and says we need a predictive dialer, we don't do that. And so that's not a good fit for us. And so That's the part of that 10% that we don't offer. But the 90% that we do offer absolutely overlaps perfectly with all of the the Forrester guys, the Gartner guys, and everybody else. So that 90% thing, it really hit me where he was talking about how the matrices are, they're kind of irrelevant because the features overlap so much, and except for that 5 or 10%. I love that part, but I
Yeah,
also
and
love the AI part.
Yeah, and I love that what Palomar is doing is you all think of Google, right? When you sit down to Google and you type in how do I, and then Google gives you like 7 different options of to continue typing, and this is what people often ask. It's taking that mentality but applying it to the going out and actually hunting for these different types of solutions. So it's helping give the context. And I just want to go back to something I said earlier. It's not so much the what, but the why. It's the understanding of what you're trying to accomplish, whether that's, to Aarde's point, you're trying to do something new, you're solving a problem, you're wanting to get the latest and greatest, whatever that thing may be. Now it's starting to help you. Like it's you're starting out at the top of the pyramid and you're just working your way down, right? It's a game of Plinko, basically. That's the mentality I think we should all take away from today, is that AI is just a tool to help us making more educated, informed decisions versus just the gut emotional stuff. We all make the emotional decision-making processes, but we then go back and we validate that with our facts, our figures, our logic, our reasons. So this is putting all of that together. Here's why you're making the choice. Now we're showing you that you are in fact making the right choice, and you can validate that. So across the board, Palomar just A+.
Bingo. And working with Clarity CX as your consultant,
right
after you've gone through the Palomar process, go for it. Clarity is one of my favorite partners out there.
Here, Tom. All right. Well, with that, I know we're already hard pressed for time. So any final words for the audience today, Tom, as we wrap things up?
No, other than I will tell you this. I would just say make a comment on our show on whatever platform you're seeing it on. Give us a rating and review. Shoot a note to us if you'd like to be a guest on the show. We're both available on LinkedIn. We're both here at sharpencx.com. So we'd love to hear from you if you want to be a part of the show.
Love it. All right. Well, how about this? We're going to go ahead and put a pin in today's phenomenal episode of CX Without the BS. Make sure you've hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcasting platforms. Also, you can catch your favorite video version of the show over on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button. Head down below the comments. And to Tom's point, if you've seen some CX BS, let us know what it is. We might even talk about it here on an episode of CX Without the BS. So with that being said, Brian Nichols signing off for Tom Milligan. We'll see you next week.